Moby has launched a record label. Now, I don't know if all you guys listen to Moby. Moby was on my playlist and on my Pandora getting shuffled constantly when I was in law school and when I was studying for the state bar because I love listening to instrumental music that has a very cinematic feel about it. It just makes my life worth living. And so Moby's music came on a lot. And so I kind of came to find out about Moby and to love what he does as an artist, as a composer. But he's launched a new label and it's called Always Centered at Night. What are your thoughts?
Um, so I definitely have thoughts as well about Moby. I have a very complicated relationship with Moby because I'm a big fan of Moby's music like since the 90s. When Moby Go from the time of Go when it came out. And I think he's an incredible artist. He's been, in the newspaper a lot, controversy from his book to having to apologize um to like Natalie
Ah,
Portman and
that's
all that stuff
right.
for
That's right.
his which is kind of funny because through I guess it would be like the late 90s and stuff. I had also heard that and stuff, and I never could believe it. And then later on, she said it didn't happen. Setting aside some of his, a lot of his activism, which I have zero problem with. I just think that the way he does some of that stuff is just really extreme. But that's his way
I
of
think
doing it.
he
I don't have a
got,
problem
didn't he
with the
get that
message,
giant vegan
tattoos,
or
yeah.
yeah.
It's which is cool. Like I don't have a problem with any of his message. I'm down with him. I feel it. But as far as this label goes, like he's trying to do something where he wants to really focus on the art. He doesn't want to be a slave to the algorithm, as it were. He doesn't want to have to worry about TikToks. He wants people to find artists that are just creative and um just concentrating on that. He says the imprint will not be going for the largest number of digital streams. Always Centered at Night claims to be a new kind of record label in which it ignores what Moby calls the current fear-driven algorithmic based culture. um they so just not concerned, just really not concerned how many streams they get so much as putting out art and cool stuff that they
Now,
like.
as someone who I represent a lot of record labels and a lot of record labels at different points of their journey, right? They might be just starting, they might be way further along, so they're like a mid-sized record label. As a business, being like, I'm not going to subscribe to how the music business currently is, these algorithms and, posting and having to play the game. While it seems very advanced thinking, and we love this, right? So as an artist, I would say,
Fight
great,
the
you're not going to
power.
you're not going to put pressure on me. I don't have to make my stupid TikToks, right? I'm not Halsey's label, and I'm putting a stop on her music because she hasn't had that viral moment yet. That's great, but that also is kind of concerning to me, right? So to the extent that you're saying I'm not going to play the game, well, how are you going to make your artists a success? How are you going to get them out into the algorithm that you don't
Well,
care
right.
about?
Well, it's that, and that just, I guess that just means that Moby is going to be funding this project by himself, because I don't know how many investors he's going to get to invest in his label if he's not worried about any kind of a return. So that's the only part about it that just like I love Moby. I'm into Moby, doing something like it. It's actually surprising that he hasn't had his own imprint in all of these years, especially maybe around like 03, 04, when I feel like he really would have been able to maximize that potential. We see so many DJs and electronic artists that have, come out with their own labels. You have Cascade with his arcade.
Sure.
You have what is it? Dim Mac. There's a new label. But it just doesn't. It seems like, I don't want to say a waste of time, because then that makes me seem like, oh, I'm just all corporate and I'm just for the money and stuff. But it's cool. It's a cool idea, I'm sure. And I heard the first song. They released a song. It's a Moby song that he collaborated with this Ansel Jones, and the song is called Medusa. And I listened to it, and it's
Yeah,
actually
it's
kind of
it's it's
it's a
cool. It's
really
what
good
I
song.
would think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a drum and bass track that's kind of got a little bit of a chill out on it. Anzel's vocals on it are pretty dope. Like it kind of almost reminds me of a Faithless thing. I don't know if you know Moby, you probably maybe know Faithless. It kind of has that kind of a vibe to some of it, but it's super dope. Like it sounds great. So I have
Well, and
no
let
doubt
me
that the music's going to be good.
let me give you maybe devil's advocate on this, right? So, you have Cell Dweller who started his own label and the label's called Fixed. And you were talking about Dim Mak, right? Steve Aoki, he started his own label. So when these artists will go and end up starting their own labels and are like, I'm going to do this my way, I'm taking control, I'm going to own all my masters. I think Moby could be successful on this if he's built relationships for sync. If he's able, because of all of the success in his music,
Yes.
if he's able to get placements in TV and film, which is what Fixed Records does, they exclusively focus on placements. They say, let's make music, let's get it in TV film. That's all we care about because that's what pays. Why the
A
hell
lot
are
of
we going
labels
to
are
put
doing
it
this.
on?
Yeah.
Why are we going to put it on DSPs, digital service providers, on Spotify and Apple to stream and get paid nothing? So that could potentially be his approach here, which would make sense.
No, and see, and that's why it's so great. Like when you said that, it makes a lot of sense to me. The why, because he has those connections, and then I'm thinking, okay, like in Aoki's case, his Dim Mak label actually did pretty good though. Like he had a lot of major artists, he had those relationships. So like anytime something is released on Dim Mak, it's always in the Spotify new release things.
Yep.
His artists always get kind of heat and stuff to it. Aoki's one of these guys. Same thing with Cascade. Like these are artists that are constantly touring, so they can bring them on tour with them. So they have a built-in infrastructure for that kind of thing, and the people that are in the know because it's all genre specific, they can really capitalize on that audience. They have their market. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes sense. It just sounds weird to me. Like, but it's cool. Like I totally think Moby should have a label. I have no problem with that. He's great.